Hello, everybody, and welcome to the We Know the Traitors podcast over here on RHAP, ready to talk about the finale and the reunion of Traitors US Season 3. And I'm very excited to do this feedback show here today with a guest that you may not know because they're mysteriously hidden behind a cloak. Who would be in my studio, you ask? It's the one and only Liana Boraas. Hello, whoa, wait, you're here?
Uncloaked. I had to fill Rob's shoes. I had to put some kind of costume on, and I just happened to actually be wearing this today. So we went for the full traitor look.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well. I am excited to talk traitors officially, especially the end of season 3. Some people I hear regarding it the top season of US Traitors of all time.
I think it's a pretty popular pick at this point that it is a top three.
A top
of
three.
The three.
It's a top 3.
It's a top 3 season for
three.
sure. But yeah, it's a top season of Traitors US.
Yeah.
And I think that, are you in agreement with that take?
My overall feeling on the season was very hot and cold. Like when the Cage Boys first came in, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Wes, Derek, and Boston Rob all in the same season. Then like 2 episodes later, I'm rooting for Derek, who I never thought I would be rooting for. Wes goes home. Bob goes home too early. The drag queen, also I suppose Bob Harper, goes home too early. Danielle gets the weirdest edit I think I've ever seen in any Traitors season ever, because what we're hearing from the cast versus what we're seeing on our television screens almost feel like two completely different things. So to me, it was more of a roller coaster of a season. I would say that it was not a top tier season when it came to Survivor Traitors gameplay, but it was a top tier season when it came to reality TV. And so for that, I have to give it all its flowers. And there were moments of brilliance and moments of genius that I think we saw from both Faithfuls and Traitors throughout the season. But it's not a season I would look to say, oh, hey, here's one of the best Faithful games or the best Traitor games, except for maybe Dylan Efron.
Which, his game, however much of it was intentional or not, I do co-sign, because I do think there was flashes of he gets lucky based on the connections he made with the right people at the right time. But I also think that he did a pretty darn good job of getting to the end and winning as easily, I think, undisputed, the best detective of the season. Typically, that character gets murdered way earlier. And I think what helps him is the fact that Danielle feels like she has him in her pocket. Carolyn felt the same way. Boston Rob felt the same way. So they just he was friends with all the traitors. Like, he literally got it there nailed. And enough so that once he's made this connection, he starts realizing that seems a little weird. That seems off. And, credit to him, he does cut them. A lot of people talk about this strategy of like having the angel all the way, then cut him at the final end. So for him to do it and then still get the W, huge.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The other thing before we get into all of your feedback, questions, comments, thoughts, or otherwise is this. If you're watching the YouTube video,
hello,
what is this? Have you not seen this? Ooh, we're in our very own turret.
I know.
Sort of.
Full with brick wall.
Yes. So this is a shameless plug for the Pooya and Liana Lounge. You should definitely check it out. It's on the RHAP YouTube channel. You can also listen to the audio version, pooyaandliana.com, for all your pal needs if you're going to enjoy this dynamic. Which I think you will.
Yeah, I think you will. And then this next episode coming, doing the hot ones.
We're going to do a hot one too. Yes, we have our 10th episode. It's going to be monumentous. We're going to do a little bit of a different format outside the box, aka we're going to answer some really spicy questions.
And eat wings instead.
Need some spicy wings. Yeah. So anyway, back to the Traitors.
Yeah, so we did get quite a few questions, both in the patron group and in the forum. So shout out to everyone who all season has been delivering questions for us to tackle. With it being the finale, we definitely have some like more broad questions about formatting and the future. And we did get a couple in here about the episode itself. So I'm gonna read this one from Caitlin, who says, "The People's Couple." Oh, thank you so much. If Brittany forces the tie and Ivar goes home, who is more likely to win, Brittany or Danielle?
Oh, that's interesting. So I think let's play out that scenario, right?
Yes, because that's what they cliffhangered us on.
Correct.
Was whether or not Brittany had voted out Danielle or it's going to go to a tie. And I feel like there was a lot of whispers on both camps of like, it could be this, it could be that. Ultimately, Brittany does switch her vote. It takes Danielle out. So let's talk about it. So Brittany forces the tie. They go to this game of chance. Ivar picks tails or picks the wrong card, whatever. We don't know what the game of chance is. We got so close to seeing what the tiebreaker would be, and we didn't get it. But let's say Ivar leaves. What happens from there on?
If Ivar leaves, and then we're going to the final 5 with Gabby, Dylan, Dolores, Brittany, and Danielle, right? So Brittany and Danielle, there's going to be one more vote. Oh, actually, seer power, because that would actually have been the next step. So we know that Brittany she would have had the highest, or Danielle, right? Danielle. So those are the only 2 options, which means regardless, a traitor is going to have the seer power.
Yes.
So what do they do in that situation, right? Do they think that Dolores is enough on someone else that they pick that person and then are willing to throw the gambit of they're a traitor? Or do you pick Dolores? Like, let's say it's Danielle. Danielle picks Dolores, confirms Dolores is faithful, similar to the way that Brittany confirmed Gabby as a faithful, and then say, the 3 of us have to go to the end.
That's the correct move, right? With the seer power, even Dylan talks about this on the episode, picking a person who you think is a faithful, getting a faithful confirmation is the move, because the minute you come into breakfast and you say that person's a traitor, whether you are the faithful that caught a traitor or you're a traitor that's framing somebody, you're both going to get voted out. Like, that's not where you want to be. Now, granted, this is a little bit different, because if Danielle has Dolores on side, which she clearly does, and Dolores has mentioned, I'm looking at Gabby or Ivar, I'm not sure yet, and then goes Ivar, you could have Danielle pick Gabby, faithful, throw her to the wolves, like, no, she's traitor.
Right.
Because now there's no confirmation on, so there could be a different scenario. But I think the move is 100% to lock in a faithful.
I really think at that point in the game, you're playing Dolores. That's the only person you care about, right?
That's who's standing in your way.
I mean, assuming that is your closest ally, which it seems for everything that we heard, that Dolores was Danielle's closest ally. So that really means, what's the thing that's going to convince Dolores to vote with you at final 5, right? That is the debate. That is the question you need to be asking yourself. So whether or not it's throwing Gabby under the bus, or it's confirming Dolores is faithful, getting her on their side, and then voting out at least Gabby to make it to the fire of truth.
Probably, yeah.
Then the question becomes, okay, once you get to the fire of truth, I mean, I think that Brittany and Danielle, I do think Danielle was genuine when she said she wanted to win with Brittany. I don't think that either of them would have stabbed each other in the back if they had gotten to that stage. So in that situation, I do think we see a double traitor win.
Yeah, I think that's how it would have ended as well, had they both made it through this round and made a play for the end.
Because even at the fire of truth, if Dylan, let's say they vote out Gabby at final 5, Dylan throws red, I think Dylan either gets voted out, or it's a tie because Dolores flips. But even then, I don't know. I just really think that in that moment, it would be a traitor's win.
Well, I think that the other part of it for me is that in the event that they go to 5 and Brittany picks Dolores, says Dolores is faithful, or picks Gabby and tries to do a gambit, or just picks Gabby and says Gabby's a faithful, in the event that Dolores gets swayed and it's a 3v2 going into the final roundtable,
5,
I do think Brittany still goes self-preservation mode and boots Danielle, if she's like, well, Dolores isn't voting with us.
But then I think in that case, I think then Brittany's still screwed anyway.
Right. I feel like they were either going to win together or not at all, is how it ended up being set up.
Right.
But when Danielle leaves or gets up to do her like circle of truth reveal, final reveal of the season, I feel like she doomed Brittany a little bit. I feel like Brittany did have a shot, an opening to make a run there, but the clear disappointment in Danielle, and obviously not many people watch the reindeer games. Like, I did. I did. Okay. And they keep calling it Big Brother on the show. They're not calling it BB Reindeer Games, which
what was it? Was that the official title, BB Reindeer Games, or was it Big Brother like Reindeer Games?
Don't remember. Okay, I just know that Reindeer Games was a part of it. I have to assume it was Big Brother Reindeer Games.
So yeah, it's technically Big Brother.
Technically Big Brother. Just ignore the colon. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like in that moment, especially, again, the game of Traitors, you do not have anything to go off of. All you have is what everyone else gives you as currency, whether it's fake information or real, or maneuvers, behaviors, glances. That's all you have to go off of. And Danielle's parting gift was the only bit of evidence left, because they were looking at Danielle at that point, right? So I feel like had that not happened, I could have seen a path for Brittany to a solo win, maybe. But even then, I think just to be safe, she still gets booted at 4. Like, I still don't see it. So
I think one thing that we didn't get to see on the show, and I'm curious if this had actually happened in the castle, but if I were Brittany, I would be explaining Danielle's comment away by using Big Brother reindeer games.
That's what everyone was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, and I did do an interview with her.
Mm-hmm.
We did not talk about that, but I have to imagine some of that was mentioned of like, let me clarify what it is that she was upset about. It wasn't, I put her in the line of fire and got her kicked off the show. Then here, I feel like we're building it back up. So I feel like she trusted me again. And when I put her name down, no matter what, she felt betrayed, which fine.
Yeah. I think even, I mean, obviously, I don't think that that's going to save Brittany though.
No.
Right. Because it's one glance, it's one look, it's one drink of water at a round table that can get somebody voted out. And at that stage in the game, I think it did doom her.
Yeah. Did you see Lisa Donahue from Big Brother 3 posted a photo, a selfie with the television where the Faithfuls have won, wearing a t-shirt that says the Faithfuls and was basically celebrating.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a lot.
Ooh, a little bit of drama.
That was a lot.
It's just, it harkens to how messy reality TV obviously is still messy, but there are sometimes moments where it feels a little bit more cleaned up, whereas this is messy and I'm kind of into it.
Yeah. I mean, Traitors is a fascinating show for me because, unlike a Big Brother or a Survivor, I feel like we are so deep into the online community of it all that the takes I see, the people that are talking about the show, we're all kind of on the same page somewhat. Whereas with the Traitors, it's full blown like global. I'm getting takes from like people who don't watch reality TV or from Bravo fans or from the Survivor fan, from the Big Brother fans. So you get like a whole like amalgamation. And what you said earlier about Danielle's weird edit, I have never seen 3 seasons of watching Traitors US now. I've never seen anybody get this much hate and rooted against than Danielle Reyes. Like you'd think they put a demon in a cast with 23 humans. Like they were like going at and I think one of the questions I did see in the form was, do you think this edit was given to Danielle so that the end win of 4 Faithfuls is celebrated and Danielle is seen as like the last hurdle to that victory?
Sure. I think that's definitely a possibility. That's a better explanation than anything that I can think of, apart from the fact that Danielle pissed off someone in production and she's just trying to screw her over.
Well, the whole season, I feel like, especially midway through the season, it was like, okay, Carolyn is going to be in the finals, right? Like she's running this game. This is hers to lose. And Danielle obviously fumbles somewhere royally. That's why they're reminding us that she bad. Yeah. And I think the one fumble, the biggest fumble, in my opinion, actually 2 fumbles.
Not killing Dylan.
3 fumbles. No. 2 fumbles.
Okay.
2 fumbles. Killing Dylan and also not killing, killing Tom was the wrong move. So for me, that's a 2 for 1.
Sure. Yeah.
The main one that really put her on the spotlight was this move of, I want to weaken Boston Rob, therefore I am going to go after Carolyn, get her out, bring someone who's on my side in, to then boot him out, which made no sense. It put unnecessary eyes on her and then on Carolyn, which they were able to clean up a little, credit to the both of them. But then later, when there's no other big targets left, because y'all keep murdering all of them, it really came down to, okay, so is it Ivar? He just drinks tea. No, it's not Ivar. Is it Dolores? She's looking at Tom. No, it's not Dolores. Tom, he said 1,800 names. It's not Tom. Is it quoted the best Big Brother person to never win? Could be it.
Maybe.
That's okay. That could be it.
I mean, look, here's what I love about Traitors, because I think there's it feels like being at the beginning of Survivor or Big Brother as we're watching the strategy develop and change. We're seeing how people's perceptions of the show change. We're seeing optimal strategies come and go. We're seeing some new twists be thrown into the game. And I think as a viewing member, a member of the audience, it's really interesting to watch strategies change and evolve so quickly, but also to see so many criticisms of the format of the show, because it's like, we're all going on this journey and we're seeing what works and what doesn't work. It's like you need the time of development to really fully see what the show has to offer and to really fully see what those strategies are, right? So I think one tightrope that's really difficult to walk for the Traitors is to keep the big targets in the house, but also keep followers in the house.
Yes.
Right? Because
you
want somehow both. And you need to be able to keep those people. And so I think that what the show doesn't do, and this is the reason I'm talking about this, is because it all goes back to Danielle's edit. Because what I think it doesn't do well yet, and I think it can.
The show doesn't do
the editing of the show doesn't do is really show us the social relationships. Because I think we're making the assumption that Danielle, oh my God, Danielle's flipping and flopping like a fish all over the floor, and she's crying and she's, doing all this stuff. We're just like, oh my gosh. What we're not seeing clearly is all of the relationships she's building, all of the other opinions that people have of her. And I think that we don't see obviously you're never going to see everything that's going on. But I do think that, especially seeing Danielle's edit be so weird, that narratively there's some sort of disconnect, at least with this season, that didn't feel like quite right. Like the reality of what was going on in the castle versus what I'm seeing on my television screen sometimes felt like two different things.
Well, I think what the show did do well this season is these reality shows, honestly, any show, if you have people that you are rooting heavily for and will be heartbroken if they leave, the show's doing something right. If there's someone who you're deeply rooting against, you do not want to see win, you're also doing something right. And I think they delivered that. And I think Danielle definitely does make some villainous moves in this game to warrant that kind of edit. Because I think that the edit, now that we're starting to move away from it, I can kind of understand, because this is the villain of the Traitors turret, who also is overacting, who also is doing too much, is like finding new ways to unnecessarily have eyes on her, but also the faithful keep missing it. Like, I think talking about that challenge where the mission where she takes herself off the frame to put Derek's name up there, and it's like, why wouldn't you want safety? Clearly that doesn't come up. We see them in moments talk about her shaking and is it fake, but not enough for it to come up either. And I think that there's something to be said about the fact that, you can do all those things, still make it this far. And now, was the edit a little heavy-handed? I think so.
So I think that's my problem. I actually don't have an issue with them, showing those moments and showing her being a true villain. That is so fun. I think it also then needs to be framed in a way that is like, but she's still creating, like, there's still people being like, yeah, but I really trust with Danielle, or I really vibe with Danielle. So you're getting both sides of the story instead of what it felt like sometimes just one.
Yeah. And I think that for me, it's like, if there was a volume knob, one of those, and it what?
Yeah.
And it's set to like, it's like out of 100, okay?
Okay.
And it's set to like 85 on the edit.
Okay.
I think they could have turned it down to 78. That's not a big change, but it's enough of a change. I feel like because
69.
Because it was set that high, I feel like then a little bit of toxicity split into the world with this season. And I think if they had just turned the dial down a little bit, you still have people not wanting Danielle to win, and you don't get this like barrage of hate. And because typically, and this is probably, someone in the reality TV space, this is my least favorite thing about being in the space, is when we get to that stage where everyone's taking sides now. Are you team Danielle or are you team Carolyn? If you're team this one, F you. If you're team that one, go F yourself. I hate that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm team good television.
Yeah.
I'm team non-problematic behavior. And then I'm team
Ivar.
What do you just because you're in Rob's place doesn't mean you gotta come at me with the Ivar quips
when he's the one is doing the deep dive.
Ivar lives rent-free in some royal castle in England and in Rob's head, because the man brings up Ivar every chance he gets and then pins it on me. I didn't do anything.
That's just what I heard.
Fun fact, we were gonna do the Britney exit interview, and I had this issue happen before where, like, when you click a Zoom link and it gives you your preview of like your camera, your mic, whatever, but then sometimes it doesn't give you that, and it'll just give you the loading screen, and you're waiting for the host to let you into the room. I sometimes do not know which one I've gotten. More often than not, it's just a loading screen where I just click it and I wait, they let me in, I'm ready to go. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, we're past the time that it was allotted. Like we're starting to pass the time it was allotted. Get a call from Sam Moore. He's like, are you still doing this interview? I'm like, yeah, I'm here. He's like, you're not in the meeting. And I was like, damn, I didn't press the join button. So I come in, I'm like a couple minutes late. And I come in and they're talking about me not being there. And like, they're joking about like, wow, he doesn't care about me to be here, whatever. And then Rob was like, you know, he wouldn't do this for the Ivar interview. He'd be here on time. I was like, he lives rent free in your head. Yes.
But is Rob wrong?
Often, from what I hear. So yeah, I mean, the thing I like about getting to cover the show, to go back to the show, is that I like having a nuanced conversation. Like if you don't agree and you're like, no, Danielle sucked, that's fine. I'm very okay with that. If you're someone who's like, no, she was underappreciated, that's also fine. I understand that. I think the thing I love most about it, about the discourse with Traitors, is that there's a lot of subjective conversation to be had. Like you said, this show is in its infancy, even though we've had 3 seasons now. We've only had 3 seasons. Big Brother doesn't even become the format it is until like its 2nd season revamp. And then by then, 3rd season, they still changed some stuff. Survivor didn't even have idols for like a long. So like the shows grow as they go along. And I think it's still figuring itself out.
One of the biggest critiques I've seen, right, is that there's no incentive to get out Traitors. There's no incentive to get out Traitors. Okay, I would like to create an analogy to Survivor. Okay.
Hit me with it.
On Survivor, when you are in the do you want me to like do something about that?
No, keep
wake up.
No.
Okay, so in Survivor, when you are in the pre-merge stage, what is the optimal strategy?
Survive.
On paper, it is to keep challenge strength and win challenges.
Right, because then you're safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we see happen all the time? People vote out those who are strong. Like even in this last week's episode, we see a spoiler alert.
No, I mean
it's like way past.
It's Monday. You're good.
Okay.
Anyway. Also, we didn't name a name. We didn't name a tribe. So
yeah. So anyway, so people are frequently voting out or doing what is the quote unquote non-optimal strategy, right? So in Traitors, you frequently have people that are doing the non-optimal strategy in terms of the game format. Like what the game tells you the optimal strategy should be to vote out Traitors. What do people do sometimes? Anybody but me. Oh, I don't care. I don't care if I'm voting. Same thing with Survivor. Oh, I'm going to vote out the strongest person because my core 4 we're going to roll into merge together, right? So I think that as we discuss and talk about and the evolving strategy of the Traitors, I think that it has to be a nuanced discussion in the same way that RHAP has how many Survivor podcasts every week? And I'm one of them, baby, doing the B&B. You know what I mean?
It takes plug, shameless, but
just check out the B&B. Mike Bloom, Liana Boraas. Right? Because it's like recap, know-it-alls, YX loss, B&B. So you're talking about hours and hours of content to break down Survivor, and Traitors I think deserves the same, right? Because it's a simple game of format. Six
podcasts a week for me. Yeah, let's do
baby. Mike and I can do the B&B for Traitors.
Yeah, no, I want to be there. It's the P&B.
The P&B.
Yeah.
PB&J. Anyway,
J.
So my point, I guess, is that there are so many nuanced discussions to be had about the format, how you play the show. Yeah. Sometimes you're playing the game in a way that is not what the show wants you to do.
Right.
And that's normal. That is reality TV.
Well, and I think that first of all, love the analogy. I think that the other thing too is that the reality is not every person is going to look at the game the same way and play it the same way. You know, like I've said, I've been seeing a lot of discussion about this season. There's people who absolutely are like, yeah, they should be incentivized to go after the Traitors. Why are they not doing that? That makes the most sense. That's the name of the game. Versus me, the quote unquote anchor of the coverage here on RHAP, my mentality is not that at all. If I'm a faithful, I would want to identify the Traitors. Depending on who they are and what my relation is to them, I may choose to keep them in. I may choose to, because at the end of the day, we saw how the one thing that's for certain every season of the Traitors so far, formatting or not, is you're going to the fire of truth with 4 people. And the game is get to the final 4. realistically. And obviously, depending on your own personality, your characteristics, your role in the game, if your role changes within the game and your relation to the traitors and against the traitors, those are all factors that every single person has to figure out for themselves and then operate the game that way.
Right.
Because like even if we look at our final four, they are all faithful. They all get there very differently. They all arrive at the same destination, but it's like, my term for an analogy. It's like you and your friends decide, okay, we're going to hit up this club. We're going to a club. I know for you, you're like, it's 8 p.m. We should all be in bed by now, but pretend
it's a daytime club.
In this scenario, it's a daytime club.
Yay.
You and 3 friends are planning to meet there, okay?
Okay.
Can
I bring another friend?
It's not part of my analogy. You walk to the club. One of your friends takes an Uber. One of your friends takes the bus. One of your friends drives there. You're all taking a different
Okay, well, I'm not walking in heels if we're going to the club.
My God. The point is not to deconstruct my analogy. The point is you all take a different way or lane to get there.
Sure.
And fine, you're not wearing heels, you're wearing flats. Are you happy? Is that
the club?
You've never been to a club. You don't know what a club is.
I'm at Club Pilates. Am I right?
Club Sandwich.
Sam's Club. JK, we have a BJ's membership. Well, okay. So and the other thing too that I want to say is that I'm not closed or opposed to format changes. I want to see the show change its format every once in a while. I want to see the show. Oh, fantastic. I want to see the show iterate through. I just think that we shouldn't be so quick to judgment in this is a terrible format. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just don't want that negativity in my life. Because I'm breeding positivity now.
Yeah. And I love the show the way it is. I really do. And I'm not saying that it should stay the way it is permanently. I definitely feel like they've already made tinkers that I'm a fan of, or I'm like, ooh, I could be intrigued by. Namely, the finale not having any reveals. I like that. I like the idea that you're leaving them paranoid to the very end. This season already debunked one thing that people were worried about, which was this reveal, the non-reveal will only incentivize you to keep voting no matter what. And
I'm still shocked that they ended the game.
They had no business doing that.
No business ending the game.
It speaks to, I think, Traitors US specifically. I think these are all people who've already made a name for themselves, like Gambit, and they don't need the money. It's like what, 200K?
Yeah, but I mean, Gabby used it for her wedding. It's not like she's rolling in dough.
Yes, but also, and I talked about this, I think was it either on the podcast or on stream? I mentioned that when all is said and done, if everyone's so convinced they're going to just end the game, are you really going to risk voting again to get what it'll become like about $66,000?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Dylan, obviously,
and then after tax, I don't percentages math, so don't quote me here, but like, are you really doing a gamble for like 8K? And then you still could leave. Now you have to deal with this beef for like ever because you voted them out. Is it worth the hassle? But like, I think that the show, now I don't know the exact numbers because I have not been offered a spot on the Traitors US, but I feel like they do give them appearance fees to show up. And I'm like, that money is already a lot of money. So for the end game, they might not try as hard because, again, it's 200K divided 4 ways. Now you mentioned Gabby. Gabby's someone who I definitely think could have and would have been down to throw down for some more votes there. But to me, it was a very special case. We've never seen 4 people at the end split the money even and like end the game. We've never seen that. We've never seen a
3
non-red fire go off for a revote.
Yeah, 3 is the most that we've seen.
So what was the point I was making?
I have no idea.
You threw me off.
Format changes. There's questions about format changes.
There is, but I want to make this point. I've been making a point. Oh, so we've already seen one of these things get debunked, which was the non-reveal thing would cause people to just push votes to the final 2. And that hasn't happened. So I'm like, I think ultimately I like this non-reveal thing. I feel like one of the satisfying things about this finale was that A, they got rid of the traitor as the last banishment they could, and then B, recognizing and taking the risk to just end the game with the 4 of them kind of was the perfect faithful ending game. Whether you're someone who roots for faithfuls or traitors, this was the most clean, faithful win we've ever seen. And it happened despite the traitors having the upper hand of no reveals being on for like an end game fire of truth situation. So I did like that. Now, we have gotten a couple of questions about format changes. A lot of people have talked about the seer. We did get a couple questions asking about, hey, what would you change to keep the show fresh? Do you have any in the chamber right now you would like to release?
I think that question is predicated on the fact that it's not interesting, right? Because it's, we need to do something to freshen it up. I would be so happy to just re-rack and run it back, right? But okay, let's make the assumption that it is not fresh anymore and we need to freshen it up. Oh boy, I'd have to think about that.
So I've thought about it a lot because it's my job at this point. I think, and I've talked about this, the seer twist, I would make it anonymous and I would have it be earlier in the season. That would be more appealing to me if you don't necessarily, because like, to me, the seer twist is a death sentence. Even if it's two people confirming each other faithful, if I'm not a part of that and you two are now confirmed faithful, guess what? If I somehow make it to the final four with you, my fate is in your hands because the two of you could be like, no, let's vote again and get him out. So I don't want any part of that. If you reveal a traitor, we've already talked about the 50-50, just get rid of both of them, you're safe. So to me, having it be anonymous is good because I'm intrigued infinitely about the idea that two people figure each other out and then, or one person figures someone out and then tries to figure out how to maneuver getting rid of them. I think obviously the big worry would be, well, if you identify a traitor, they just murder you overnight and then you're done. You can make it a shield.
Okay.
Shield them.
Super hot take, perhaps. No more murder.
What?
No more murder.
Ever.
No more murder. No murder. Only banishment. And then the traitors have to sabotage in some other way, like in the challenges or something like that.
But why would they want to sabotage getting money in the prize pot? This ain't the mole, fam. This ain't the mole.
Okay, fine. Maybe not that, but maybe there's something else where they can like handicap people and like take away their votes or something like that. Like the sabotage, the traitorous component is not in the murder. The traitorous component comes out somewhere else in some other mechanism.
I just can't picture, because then what's the point of the turret? They meet up and talk about, okay, so this week we can remove two people's votes. Who should we remove?
Yeah.
I feel like that's so like that. No, I feel like that's almost more powerful because then you get to keep people you want to keep anyway. And then you can just like pretty much bully them by, okay, yeah, Dylan, no vote this week. Deal with it. And then who is Dylan going to cry to? Me. Nah, either murder him or keep him in and deal with it. Like, I think that's why I think the murder needs to be there. I think something that I have long thought of was end recruitment windows way earlier in the season. This season, we started with 4. Ultimately, by the end of the season, we only recruited one person, right? I think that by final 10, if you have not recruited somebody new, then is done. Lock it in. Because I think one thing that the traitors in the US have definitely proven to us now for 2 seasons running is if you do not work together a little bit, you will all go out, basically. So incentivizing from final 10 on that this is just this is the people you're with. You either run it or you run each other into the ground. That's fine. I think not having that extra like bumper of like, ooh, but I can always bring someone new in. Remove that. I think having 4 to start is fine. And I know the show is worried. And this is honestly the toughest thing because the show is paced to deliver a set number of episodes. They want to keep having traitors in. I've long said I'm okay with it if we're at final 8 and it's all faithful because now it's a game of they still all think there's a traitor. They're going to have to vote each other out. That's still intriguing to me. So I'm okay with that. It'd be funny if like 2 episodes in a row no one's been murdered and they're like, but we've not had shields, so what's going on? Are we all just faithful? Because then it's like, oh my god, we're all faithful, but we can't all make it to the end. Now we're the traitors. Because I think the faithful get a little too high horsey. So I like the idea that now the faithfuls are like, oh my god, I have to pick my 3 people to take to the end because I think we're all faithful.
Then it's just Survivor.
Yeah.
They're just voting people out
and doing
Just
missions.
Survivor.
Yeah.
Doing missions. Oh, so here's what I've noticed, and this was the intent behind my original suggestion as well as yours in terms of the lack of recruitment. Something to give the faithfuls a little bit more more of an advantage, not even an advantage, but just we know that the game is traitor, like the traitors have the advantage, right? Because we did the math and it's like 2/3 traitor wins, like 1/3 faithful wins.
No, I mean, okay.
Right?
I genuinely forgot. I wanted to do this before I came on the pod, coming with the numbers. So there's 12 seasons of English speaking Traitors that has been up on air. Do you want me to run the quick math for you of the wins and losses? I'm not going to name any seasons. I'm not going to do any of that. And as long as you don't sit there with a spreadsheet to be like, okay, so I've watched like 8 of these results. There has to be one more. Is it this one? Don't do that to yourself. Or skip ahead the next minute. I'm giving the 5 seconds. So if they want to skip, they can skip. All right, cool. Okay. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
counting
6 7 wins from the Traitors, but not all are equal, right? They're not all OG or recruit or what have you. And then we've had 5 faithful then.
Okay, so
the basic math, about 7 to 5. Yeah.
Okay, so the numbers are better.
The faithful have been running it back. I feel like the US literally the last 2 seasons have been faithful wins.
Yeah.
So it's relatively even. I'm sorry, this isn't even important because I feel like I cut you off as you were saying something.
Well, it sounded like your suggestion was also to help the faithful, right? And my suggestion was also to help the faithful, right? Like both mechanistically, both of those changes could potentially benefit the faithfuls more than they benefit the traitors.
Yeah, I think the Traitors ultimately they have the benefit of they can't get murdered overnight.
Yes.
And then if they make it to the finale, there's no reveals, which can allow them to hide a little bit more.
Yes.
The faithfuls, the Traitors' biggest disadvantage is the numerical disadvantage they have as far as being a team. But they further sever it every time when they turn on each other anyway.
Right.
So it really is down to them. I think like for me, because I've seen a lot of people when the early seasons were coming out, they were like, they should have to sabotage the missions like the mole. I was like, but I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I think the difference with the mole is that the mole is picked by production and from the beginning is not in for the money, whereas the traitors are in it for the money. And low-key, if I'm a traitor and they're like, you can sabotage if you want, I'm not going to sabotage. I'm going to run it.
Sabotage for the money. Like again, they can't because they're going to win the same money, right? So they can't sabotage for the
money.
money.
But murder?
No, but sabotage. Yeah, like maybe they get to pick up a murder coin and then they get to murder that night, or they get to like block the shields. Because I think what the show tried to do in order to give the faithfuls a little bit more of a heads up, or leg up in this particular season, was how many faithful were safe with shields. You had episodes
amped up shields now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that they're playing with it in a way that are these small changes, which I think are making the show better, especially putting shields in the missions. That makes the missions more interesting.
God, remember when the shield used to be a 1 in 6 random pick'ems in the armory? I'm so happy we're done with that.
Right. So those are sort of the small structural changes that I think are helping to even out the playing field as we watch this game iterate through more and more versions of the show.
Should the shield be transferable?
Yeah.
Although, why would you ever want to pass it to somebody? I guess if you're
that's the debate, right? Because I think what I personally love about reality television shows is when the show gives players choice.
Yes.
Right. And so if they have the choice to be able to transfer it to someone else, do you take the risk thinking, oh, this person probably is going to get murdered. Let's block a murder.
Yeah.
Or am I going to play selfishly and I don't give a crap who goes home as long as it's not me?
Yeah. I think that I'm very content with the way the show is formatted already. And honestly, like you said, if they keep it the exact same, I'll be there and I'll be so excited. Like I'm more worried about tinkers that'll negatively affect the show. So I'm like, just keep it the same. It's fine. But I do have a suggestion for a role if you're interested in hearing me out.
Like the seer?
It's not the seer, but it's a role, an added role into the game.
Okay. So it's faithful, traitor, and
the jester. And here's how the jester works. I have specific rubric for it. Because if you watch any of my Among Us or Goose Goose Duck streams, in that game, the jester's objective is to get voted out, and if they get voted out, they win. So it's like you're trying to be as suspicious as possible to get voted out. But anyway, my thing is the jester isn't in the game the whole way through. The jester is, especially in the US, I think it could work. The jester is handpicked at the beginning of the season. They're coming in. Let's say it's a cast of 24 people. It's like, okay, Jester, you have until final 12 to get banished, not murdered, banished. In the event that you get banished, you take half the prize pot home, or whatever the amount is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's fun, because then the Jester is going to try and be suspicious. The players will know there's a Jester, so they'll be like, but is that Jester maneuvers? I don't know. That also allows the Traitors to be a little bit more like sloppy, and I think that's fine. But it's also fun because Traitors could be claimed innocent, faithful could be claimed suspect, and I feel like that could add some more chaos in the beginning, so that people are a little bit like shifty on each other, and a lot more sensitive to picking up information that they otherwise wouldn't have cared about. Is there a world where they would have looked at, let's say, Caroline, like, is that Jester maneuver? She keeps saying she doesn't know stuff. Is that like just her? Is that Jester? Or like Tom Sandoval's naming a bunch of people? Is that Jester? Or is that just Tom Sandoval being like Tom Sandoval? Is Ivar just being quiet? Is that Jester? So I feel like that could be fun. And then by final 12, if they don't get you out, you're murdered.
You're murdered.
The one night, 2 people die at that point, right? The Traitors are told, okay, well, Nikki was the Jester, so tonight you're not going to get to murder. Nikki's just dead. And that way they move on. They're like, okay, well, we survived the Jester, because then I think it'd be fun, because also you're not going to want to try and, like, I think the whole worry about burn votes goes away, because if you accidentally vote out the Jester, yeah, your game isn't over, but you're losing a lot of money from the prize pot if you do so. So,
okay.
What do you think?
Well, I think that's really creative of you.
She's about to poke holes in it. She's about to poke holes in it.
I love that you were willing to suggest something so bold. Personally, I don't like it.
That's fine.
I think it's already so. I mean, I can't imagine being a faithful in the castle and then having to contend with that on top of it. I think it makes things harder for the faithfuls, and I think what we're kind of discussing is like the opposite.
And the Traitors.
Sure, yeah, it does make things difficult for the Traitors in a certain sense,
like,
but not really.
Because you know how the Traitors will often try and murder people who are talking a lot or outspoken? Well, now the opposite. They keep him in because they're like, oh, that could be a suspect later. Well, now they might have to murder them, but I actually don't want that, because I want the big personalities to stay. Like I said, this was not really we're
workshopping.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
There's no bad ideas in brainstorming.
Yeah, I mean, it further points to my argument of keep the show the same. I'm okay with it, not adding something new to it. But the thing for me that they should change, I feel like, is I think the show would benefit from allowing the real story to play out. And this is what I mean by it. I feel like the Traitors has been very vocal about, we are a show first, a game second. And what I mean by that is, they frame the whole series behind, there are these 3 traitors and they're doing treachery and they're murdering people. These faithfuls, they're so good. We love them. Their job is to find the traitors, and that's what matters, which then doesn't show the public that, for example, Brittany's figured out Danielle's the traitor from like day dot and is just working with her because she knows she won't get murdered if she works with her. Or like, does Dylan think that Boston Rob is a traitor and is working? Like, or like, Dylan's like, yeah, I hear it's between Boston Rob and blank. Boston Rob, I think, if he's a traitor, he's keeping me safe. So why would I get rid of him? Peel the curtain behind a little bit. I think they would benefit from showing us stuff like that. And that would put to bed a lot of the people being like, why are they not, they should get punished for not getting rid of the traitors. Cause I think it's a good strategy to keep traitors for some people. And I feel like we're robbed of not seeing that play out because we are doing a veiled show. Where it's like, instead you're seeing this part, which is traitor bad, faithful good.
I mean, that's my whole argument with, I want to know a little bit more about what's going on with the relationships.
Yes.
And we actually, I'm not going to say which season, but we have seen something very similar to that, actually. It just so happened that they were wrong about who the traitor was.
But they just showed us that stuff.
But they showed us that
huge.
Stuff. Yes.
It helped.
It was super informative in terms of understanding the strategy that was going on. It was an elevation in strategy. Like it was all really, really wonderful. Yeah. So again, I think it's a show in its infancy, and I think it's growing. It's learning to walk. It's learning to talk. And soon it's going to be,
a full-grown show.
Pushing buttons. Yeah. I don't know. What do kids do when they're like, they'll have walk, talk,
read, write.
Yeah. One day it'll learn to read. Hopefully.
At a decently grade level. Yeah. So it's fun. These discussions are fun to me because, like you
We're
said,
having fun.
It's just brainstorming and it's just talking about it, what could make our little show better. And I'm very intrigued by it. So if you have any suggestions or thoughts you've had, put them in the comments. I would like to read those and see. I will say the number one change I've not liked is people saying that, okay, but if you vote a traitor out, you get safety, or if you vote a faithful, you lose money. I don't like any of that because, again, I think everyone's motivations are going to be a certain way. This would be like if in the early infancies of Survivor, it was like if you vote out someone who's going to be a strong person in the challenges out, you lose a vote because you should keep the strong people in because you need them for challenges. Like, don't tell me how to play my game. Let me do how I want to do it. All right. Were you ready for another question?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
All right. So we got a question from Amy here. Top 10 Ivar moments.
Oh my God. I mean, Pooya is obviously the expert, as we all been knew. I like the moment where he drank tea. That's got to be number one for me with a bullet.
He had a very distinct laugh.
It was
yeah. It was like a little cartoonish.
Like a little nutcracker.
Yeah. Mine was his friendship with Sam.
Okay, sure. I think that's a valid answer.
It helped Sam a little bit, but then it didn't help Sam because Sam was the more vocal of the two. Anyway. All right. So we got another question here. Hi, LNP, says Ariel. Please discuss how a strategy to identify and take a traitor to the end and then vote them out and win would work. Why haven't we seen someone try to do this? Basically, marinate a traitor. Could that work?
Okay, first of all, I think that we overestimate how easy it is to
identify a traitor. Yes.
So I think that's point number one. Okay. Now, I think if you do that, which we know it's happening. Just the show is not telling us that is happening. That
they know necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it's always tough after the fact because once the show is already airing, then people can always go back and have a little bit of revisionist history. Oh, I knew all along. We see this a lot. But I think that strategy is absolutely valid, right? Like you figure out who you think a traitor is. Obviously, you don't know for sure. You buddy up to that person, and then essentially you just become like their best buddy. Now, you're going to run the risk of once the traitor realizes, ooh, maybe I need to murder my friends to get the suspect off me. I think that is definitely a potential issue. And then also without having the confirmation on at the end of the game, you're not going to actually know whether or not, because again, you will never know whether or not that person is a traitor unless I guess you get the seer power. Yeah. But I think, well, we can talk about the seer power later, but yeah, that's my feeling.
So my thing is, I would argue we have seen this strategy play out. Whether the person knows or not is different. Yeah. But I think Dylan is the main case for this, where Dylan rode with the traitor, voted them out, rode with the traitor, voted them out. And then gets to the end and wins on the back of having essentially marinated the traitors to thinking they could blindly trust him no matter what.
And we see that conversation happening in the turret where, Boston Rob or Danielle or whatever.
Yeah, he's not onto us. It's fine. He's one of us.
We need Dylan. We need Dylan. And again, whether or not that was his actual intended strategy or not, I think it worked, and that's why he ended up winning.
Yeah, would love an interview with him to pick his brain a little bit. But I think that I would like to ask you a question that is from the top of my head. Maybe someone asked it, but I haven't double checked. What are some of the takeaways here from this season for future players, whether they're a traitor or faithful, that you feel like are available for them to look at?
To me, while there was successful, faithful gameplay, to me, this is a season on how to and to not be a traitor.
Yes.
That to me is the headline. We see Boston Rob be so good at the round table. That man, like, obviously I get it. He's an icon, a legend, but watching him at the round table, I'm just like, oh my God, you're so good. You're so, so good. But we also see him light his own game on fire, right? So that's why I'm saying it is both a good and bad. You can pick up both good and bad things about how to play a traitor. And I think number one on a bullet is, when do you turn on your traitors, if you turn on them at all?
Okay. Do you have an answer to that?
My personal opinion is you should never turn on your fellow traitors. If I were playing traitors, I would never, ever, unless absolutely necessary, throw another traitor under the bus.
It's funny because the faithful are playing to get to the end. They obviously cannot split the money, like steal the money. They have to split it amongst one other person, two other people, three other people. Whereas the traitors essentially come into the game being like, I'm going to take the money for myself. And that's the mentality. I think if they shift it, we'd see a lot better traitor gameplay.
Yes, I
because
agree.
when the faithful don't have any information to go off of, the sad reality is, and I've not done this math, but it'll be fun to look at and maybe research, is how many times has a traitor been banished because another traitor started that avalanche against them?
And then both of them end up going out.
Exactly, because it's like they were the most vocal against it, and
Yes.
it's 2 roundtables from then, and they're still here. Because I think the easy answer is, if you get a traitor out, whether it was a traitor that is like, as the traitor that survives, if a traitor was banished, whether you were working with that traitor or not, you should murder the person who got them out. Because if they're that good to figure one out, they could figure you out. Just bin them so that people cannot look at that person as the messiah of the group moving forward. Because that person has a lot of power now. And even if they're not onto you, if they wake up one morning, like, you know what about Pooya? And everyone's like, oh, okay, let's do that now. You're the dummy. Just get rid of them. Get rid of anyone that's thinking. Don't let them be there.
Obviously, the concern with that is if, let's say you and I are both traitors together and you start coming after me first, and then I'm just like, okay. Right, like I'm not going to return the favor to you. So maybe I just end up going out, and then who knows? Like I would not fight back in that moment.
I mean specifically a faithful. That, like, for example, when Dylan is the one who gets all the credit for getting Bob the drag queen out. Granted, Rob gets some for the little shove.
Yeah. No,
you get rid of Dylan immediately after that.
No, I understand that. Sorry, I meant to take it a step back and think more broadly about if you are a traitor in that situation. Because again, my mentality is you should never throw another traitor under the bus.
Right.
You don't want to give the faithful any more information than you absolutely need to give them. But if I'm a traitor, you're starting to throw me under the bus, because I think that there is this mentality of I got to get them before they get me. And we saw that on this season so hardcore, from Bob the drag queen making the one offhanded comment that stuck with Rob, which led Rob going after Bob the drag queen. Then you had Danielle going after Carolyn back going after Danielle. And especially the two of them, there was a lot of I got to get her before she gets me kind of mentality. Yeah. And I just think that puts such a target on your back as a traitor.
Yes. The other thing in the what not to do as a traitor for future traitors, I think, is do not keep people who come into the roundtable undecided. We talked earlier about having followers and stuff. I think having people that have their mind made up / have an agenda is infinitely better than having people that are like, let's hear them both out and then decide at the table, because you have no control over that at all now.
It's voting blocks.
Yes.
I mean, you are trying to establish your voting block.
Yes.
Now, obviously, within that, when you have people like Dylan, who might be considered part of your voting block, but is
Dolores.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but people, especially when we talk about Dylan, someone who is, though, very astute and a very good traitor hunter, like on his own accord.
Right.
Then I think that still becomes a dangerous person as well. So you, again, are weighing, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show, you're weighing who are the faithfuls that you want to keep, whomst are the faithfuls you want to keep, because there are different reasons to keep anybody, and anyone might be an asset or a liability depending on the context.
Number 3 on the don't do pile. Don't murder people who could be framed as traitors. Because I think one of the big drawbacks for the traitors was once we got whittled it down to the end game, all the bigger name suspicious threats were gone. Like, we're talking about a scenario where we were like, unbelievably enough, keep Tom Sandoval in the game because he's like the only person that could still be seen as a traitor, even though he's like hard cleared. So, you know, by getting rid of all of those, like the Cage Boys getting demolished and Jeremy getting sent out early, like it really, I feel like all the gamers that they needed to hide behind were gone, which was bad.
I mean, Wes got banished, Tony got banished. So I think that there, you know, obviously some of those targets went out in the way that for a traitor they should.
Right.
I think that when you are deciding like who you're going to murder, and we see them do this a little bit in this season with Sam specifically, where the logic that comes in the roundtable is this person will never get banished. If that person is never going to get banished, like that's the list I would start with.
Yes.
I would start with who are the 5 people that are never going to get banished. And then let me pick the one who is the least valuable to me in terms of voting.
I think one thing we didn't see this season was more murders where it was like, they're going to have no idea why this murder happened because they kept funneling everything through. How do we frame this person let's murder this person to frame this person. And it's like, that's such a big ask. And this cast clearly showed we're going to talk at the round table and look at the evidence. So just that theory is not enough unless you are the one hard pushing it. And then when they get confirmed as not traitor, that's not good for you. I think like Ivar getting murdered early could have been great for like, why Ivar? He was hard cleared. That's good stuff. Because also, once people think that a move is too silly, are they going to look at you with your reputation? Probably not. They might look elsewhere. Is this I would have murdered. I would be like, okay, I'm Tom Sandoval. Who would I murder? And I would murder people in that order. Like, just to be like, you know what I mean? Like someone who clearly no one is putting faith in to make good decisions. That's almost more valuable than making the most optimal murder to then make the most optimal theory. Because stop giving them theories to work with. Let them figure it out on their own because they're not going to.
Well, and also you're trying to anticipate how the faithfuls are going to interpret a murder.
Exactly.
And that, oh my gosh, is so incredibly difficult because there's the bluff, then there's the double bluff, then there's the triple bluff.
Quadruple bluff.
And then you're just like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how ultimately they're going to take this.
There was a lot left to be desired from the Traitors this season. I mean, and by that I mean the Traitors themselves, but I still think there was flashes of brilliance amongst them.
That's what I'm saying. There were moments where it was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm watching genius happen. And then there's moments where I'm like, you know better.
Like I truly think had Danielle and Carolyn worked together, we'd be sitting here talking about one of the best Traitor wins of all time.
I think that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you also have to go back and remember that you're talking about personalities, right? You're talking about people who have to play together in the same way we talk about Survivor or Big Brother, that, okay, maybe it would have been most optimal for me to work with this person, but I just vibe better with you, right? Like maybe Rob and I should be the pairing, you know?
Which Rob?
Sesternino.
Oh.
That like we would work together. But maybe I just vibe better with someone else. You know, the more optimal strategist, knows more.
This is the feedback show, not the roast of Pooya and Mikili. Did Rob are you on the payroll? Like, did Rob be like, hey, give him a hard time today? What is happening?
I think you were Ivar's biggest fan when Rob was talking about that on the feedback show. You are the only fan. Ivar's only fan. That's great. We have fun.
My plan here was to just stare at you until you stop, because I figured if I don't give you a reaction, you might leave me alone. And I think it worked. I think it worked. Okay.
I'm practicing bullying.
For what? The Olympics? Like, are you going to the bullying Olympics?
Oh God, the Olympic sport of bullying. Imagine.
God.
Yo mama.
You're going to be in the Yo Mama sport.
That's my subcategory.
That's your,
Yo Mama jokes.
And Liana holds the world record for most Yo Mama jokes that hit.
Yo Mama's so dumb.
Okay, please.
She didn't vote to end.
We might not be in the castle, but can we have some decorum at this table?
I'll put my head back up.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see for the other questions. Oh, if the Traitors hadn't turned on each other, who do you think would have been the last one standing? So let's pretend a world where Bob the Drag Queen, Boston Rob, Danielle, and Carolyn had no turn on each other at any point, did not throw each other's name out at any point. Who outlasts everybody? I have my answer if you have your answer. Ready.
Yeah, I have my answer.
All right. Should we reveal it at go?
Yes.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Carolyn.
Easy. Yeah. I mean, she literally wasn't even on the radar until the chess episode and the hard push there. So
yeah, I think there's a universe where Bob the Drag Queen is just so OTT that Bob somehow ends up getting banished.
I think the fact that Dylan had remained alive going in, I feel like obviously Dylan was shown to not do well at the round table the couple of times we saw him try. And I think that inevitably one other faithful would have picked up the mic and be like, all right, Dylan, I got you. Let's do this.
Right. But well, okay. So that's the other thing too, that I think is important to note. And you mentioned it, which is the fact that Bob the Drag Queen was clocked by Dylan without any other traitor having to come after Bob. So, you know, whether maybe Dylan gets murdered and then that goes away, that's a potential option. I mean, I will say though, I think if these 4 all work together, I mean, they're all at the end, right? I mean, Boston Rob also is just so charismatic. He leads people. Carolyn is like, no one's going to suspect her. Danielle had so like clearly established so many bonds.
This is an all-time charismatic for the turret. Funnily enough, last season I felt similarly in episode 1. And then that one, by the way, said very quickly. So, but I think these 4 working together would have been like the Avengers coming together to get a win. And I really hope whatever happens in season 4, A, we like the traitors they pick, and B, they bring one back for Team Traitors. Because right now, Traitors looking hella foolish. Like the one, you know who's benefiting from this the most? The one and only, the queen of the game, Suri Fields. Because Suri, every passing season, all that gets reconfirmed, which didn't need confirmation, is that Suri is a hell of a player and did it. And to those of you who are like, well, her cast was half and half of them were idiots. No. Suri can do it no matter what. So
and she was so impressive as a Traitors player.
If I lost to Ivar, I wouldn't be like,
honestly, it's like kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. It's a big oof there. So
5 big oofs.
You gonna do the booms? Okay.
No.
We've talked about the villain story stuff. What changes to the format would keep the season 4 fresh? Pooya, if you could pick your own Traitors International season, what previous cast would you choose?
Like to play on?
I don't know.
Not at you too, that's for sure.
They put US, AU, New Zealand, Canada.
I play the New Zealand season 1.
Oh God. It's because you like all the comedians on there. Okay,
I get to meet Matt Heath.
Which cast would I want to play? Like, which cast would you want to be a part of, I guess?
This cast?
This one is a huge
Oh my God.
This was so fun.
I would just be sitting in awe the entire time. Like, wow, it's Tony and Jeremy and Sam.
There were no duds. There was one dud. Honestly, for a cast of how many did we end up with? 25?
Like 1,000 people. When they showed the round tables back at the beginning during the reunion, I was like, how did they even fit everybody at that table?
It's wild that it's the same room that they were all in at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would say this might sound boring, but I might pick this cast. I feel strongly about this cast. Special shout out to No, I take it back. I don't want to be in any other cast.
UK one could be fun.
I thought about UK one, and then I thought about the who's in it, and Aaron from Love Island's in it. My life's fine. If I was a faithful with that faithful team, oof. Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
Those faithfuls.
Yeah. You'd want to be a traitor in that.
Without
season.
giving anything away, of course. But some of them, oof. But yeah, I thought about New Zealand too, and I was like, I don't know. But yeah, let's just say US 3 and move on. That might be the better move here.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer.
Good eye.
Okay. I think that's about all the questions. And also I will not be going to the cruise of deception. That was asked a couple times. I'm not going on any cruise. That's not happening. But watch. Ivar's gonna host a cruise, and Rob's gonna buy me tickets to that that day.
He's so excited.
Why?
It's negging. It's a classic negging maneuver. You're like, well, you can't let Ivar know. Did you
listen to the finale pod and you were like, Rob was doing this narrative?
You know what inside joke I'm gonna beat to death? This one.
You know what? I'm happy the season ended, quite frankly, and I'm happy this is the last.
And this is the last time I'll ever be participating in Traitors coverage ever.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, the other questions are more about formatting and how the casual audience is now more aware. So is it time to spruce it up? And I think that for me, I agree the casual audience is picking up the game now, but I think the next move should be let's peel the curtains back, let them see all the thoughts organically and go from there versus adding new incentives and rules along the way. That being said, there's a world where they introduce something new that we hadn't thought about, and I'm like, banger.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the thing is I might have a particular opinion about the current format, but my mind is always open to change.
Yes.
And I think that it would be ridiculous to say, no, this is the way it is. Things can never change, because that also is very close-minded.
That's silly. I mean, I think there's shows that I would love for them to change their format because the things staying the same, I feel like are running stale for sure. There's definitely shows out there right now that are doing that. But nah, fam, I'm good. But
tribes. Sorry. What?
We're on the same page. But I think also when it is a baby,
you
let's not take risks on the baby yet. Let the baby grow, and then we see where the baby go.
It's got its little grippy socks on. It's still learning.
Can't read yet, but we love it. Yeah. Also, shout out to Alan Cumming. I feel like this season, he really has come into this role more than like every season he's improving. I remember after the first season, he was low on my host list. He's firmly up there now, easily.
He's my favorite host.
Of all of them?
I think so.
He beat Claudia?
Yeah, Claudia's up there for sure. But I think it's also just, I love seeing how much passion he has. Not that Claudia doesn't, because I've seen Claudia on like the Graham Norton show and stuff. She knows she's talking about everybody, knows everybody's name.
They're both very passionate about their show.
Exactly.
I think Corinne from Canada as well is very much that same energy of like, this is my baby and I love my baby. So I love that.
And that's the thing. I just want to see somebody have passion for what it is. Like, even though I may disagree with some of Jeff Probst's decisions, I value him as a host because I know how much he cares. Like, he clearly demonstrates passion.
And as long as we all agree that the New Zealand host is last, we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't really up for debate.
Quite all right. All right, Liana, anything else that you feel like we have not discussed or you would like to discuss as far as The Traitor Season 3 goes?
No, I think we touched on everything. I'm happy to have another season in the books. I think this is going to be something to sit and reflect on. I'm really looking forward to next season. I'm sad that I have to wait so long before it comes up.
I know.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't done with questions.
Oh.
Well, I was. Then
you asked me a question, and then I said I don't have any.
Well, I thought of one as you were wrapping up. I feel like every season I want to know this, but if you got to see two people come back from this season for a future All-Star season or just a return into the show, who are the two and why?
I mean, I would love to see Jeremy play more.
Okay. I love that pick.
I think that, and that's where I'm leaning towards.
People we didn't get to see.
People we didn't get to see, right? People gone too soon, you know, people like Tony, people like Jeremy, people that went out really early. The other name that unironically popped into my head was actually Sam.
That's my boy. That's my boy.
He's gorgeous and stunning. No, maybe. But it's also because it felt like, okay, he's really kind of getting a hang of the show.
He was picking it up. He was picking it up.
What would he do as a traitor? But no, I think my gut would be probably, someone like Jeremy or Tony, maybe.
I want Ion back. I feel like we lost so much gold with Ion. I think if we were going to have a loud but wrong player, she was the one to keep. I'm so sad we lost Ion that early. So that's my pick there. I think as far as like, I'm in the same mindset as you. Of course, a lot of the people at the end, like I love Gabby. I love Dylan. I really love Danielle Reyes, Brittany Haynes. Like I love all of them, Carolyn, but we got to see them play.
Yeah, exactly.
So I always look for the potential of like the what ifs that we missed along the way. So Jeremy's a good pick, but I won't piggyback that. I feel like we saw a lot of him, but I would like to see him back. Give me Bob the Drag Queen.
That was
Give
the
me
other
Bob the Drag. Could you imagine they put Bob the Drag Queen and Ion back on the same a new season with the heat they had at the reunion?
Yes.
Ion's gonna come for that neck.
And throw what's her face in there too for good measure.
Dorinda. Oof. Yeah, there's something in the air when you're the first boot of first murder of the traitors. You don't love it. You're coming very salty. Yeah. The reunion was fun this time around, no?
Oh, I had a blast at the reunion. Yeah. I thought they structured it pretty well in terms of slowly, like bringing in the groups that they did. I don't think we necessarily maybe needed to spend so much time with the winners right at the beginning. But that being said, I think they covered a lot of really hot button topics and I appreciated the reunion.
Name me one person from this cast that you did not know coming into the season and then you really liked and are happy you got to meet.
Gabby.
Lock it in. Same.
Lock it in. It was definitely Gabby. Gabby has started also showing up on my TikTok
now.
So I'm on Gabby
on the For You
TikTok.
page. Yep. Same.
What an icon.
Yeah, I think Gabby's number one with a bullet easily. And like, I'm not gonna lie, we kind of dunked on them putting like Zac Efron's brother on the season.
Between Sam and Dylan, I mean,
they kind of showed that, hey, bring in some obscure people.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that were like, you know what, that Tom Sandoval guy was funny. Like they made picks that you wouldn't expect and it worked. It translated. Obviously you're always going to have people like who do more than you expected. And you're going to have people who are going to be severely underwhelming, which makes you think, why are they here? I truly do feel like because of John Burkow having a couple of sound bites last year, they're like, Let's go to the UK again. We need someone from
another UK aristocrat in here.
Let's bring one in here. So
yeah,
you're never gonna get the same recipe twice.
And I mean, also you're trying to put together this ensemble cast. Some are gonna hit, some aren't. That's just the name of the game. Some people are gonna be great on their original show and then not bring it in Traitors. Like it's just I think the production team, although I may have had some criticisms of them throughout this podcast, I really do trust them with what they're doing.
Same.
So much. And so part of me kind of wants to be like, let them cook. Just let's see what happens. Let them come up with some twists, some new things, see what they want to iterate through, because I've just really been enjoying the product as a whole.
Big same. Honestly, I love this show. I'm so grateful. Like, I'm like the Alan to Traitors coverage, or I'm so happy that I'm at the wheel. It brings me so much joy, all the iterations. I love every bit of it. So they're doing a stellar job because I am very happy. One last question. Who's someone that just disappointed you this season? Like,
oh, that's so mean.
I mean,
disappointed in what way?
So for what I mean, and specifically more so people you didn't know that you didn't meet. I
forgot to cancel my Pilates workout, so I've still.
Oh no! It's been logging all of this as Pilates workout.
It's like, man, you're really doing nothing, aren't you? Okay, so disappointment.
The watch says that. That's rude.
Clarify disappointment for me. Please.
More so. First episode happens, you get to meet all these new people, and you're like,
yep.
Ooh, I can't wait to learn about this person, and then they just don't deliver.
I think part of the reason, so part of the problem is that a lot of people I didn't know went out early, because we lost some of the housewives, which I'm not like super into the housewives.
I'll go first to give you like my thought.
Okay.
Chrishell. I expected so much more from Chrishell, and I feel like I didn't get that at all. And it was disappointing.
I had no expectations for her, so I didn't really care either way.
Well, if you'd listened to my previews that I did for the cast, Sam Asghari 1, Liana 0, I guess. The man listened to my coverage. You did not. I had learned that Chrishell was a fan of these shows. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm intrigued. And then what I got, I was like, I am no longer intrigued.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll give the same answer.
No.
Can I pick Ivar?
Sure.
Dolores? I don't know.
Dolores isn't a bad shout, because Dolores I also felt good about based on like anyway. We're done here, I think, essentially. Liana, let the people know, where can they find you? What are the projects do you have going on that you would like to plug maybe again?
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Lianaism, as well as on Instagram. Pooya and I, obviously, Pooya and Liana Lounge. It's so fun.
We have a good time.
We have a really good time.
It's this, but without the topic of a show.
I talked about pizza knee. I got pizza knee last week. Pooya has tiny mouth. There were a lot of really important topics of discussion. One time we paused the podcast to go have a stand on one leg challenge.
Which I won. You wouldn't think it, but I did.
So I thought
you took Pilates.
Recommend. Yeah, okay. Pooya lies a lot, as you see, with his lying voice.
All right. Anyway, so wrap it up.
Also, Drag Race is going on. Check that out. B&B, if you're a fan of Survivor. Mike and I do coverage every week talking about Survivor. There.
Pooya and Liana Lounge, good time. Find me on socials at Pooyaism. Find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. However, right now, I've got 90 Day Fiance going on. The Hot Mess Express waits for nobody. And this season is a lot, so check it out. We're in the early infancies too, so 3 episodes and you can catch up if you haven't. Also, I am talking once a week Australian Survivor with Shannon Gus. I am the chosen co-host for the middle episode of the week, which some might see as bad. I see as I have a good ass time. So who's complaining? Nobody. Any other things I am a part of? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah, that's what I've got for y'all here. Stay tuned though. Thank you everybody who has followed this coverage with us throughout the season. It truly has meant a lot. Your reviews have been fantastic. Rob is not kidding when he says we love the feedback. I read all the comments. I know he reads them as well. So all the love you've sent in, your opinions that you've shared, how passionate everyone's been has been absolutely amazing to see. And I hope you all stick around for season 4 with us. Are you mocking me right now?
Well, I was trying to help with the energy.
I see. So thank you for all of that. I would say remain subscribed, or subscribe if you haven't, because this feed is not done. You will be getting some shows coming, or some more podcasts coming in here hopefully soon, maybe a little later, but definitely going to be happening. So make sure you remain subscribed, and thank you for hanging out with us. I will see all of you later. Till then, take care. Have a good one. Bye. Stop mocking me. Why are you doing this? Why are you mirroring me?
We have fun.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We Know Reality TV.